Okay, so this is a tech panel, and I have been categorically told not to use geek speak here so that everybody understands what we are talking about. So unfortunately, if you're expecting AI and chat GPT and metaverse and all of that, we will bring that in some other form, but we will keep it very plain speak. So to begin with, if I can ask our esteemed panelists to introduce themselves.
Hi. Good afternoon. I'm Nick Manchharam at Yotel. We are a operating platform that is a solution provider across accommodation segments. So we have Yotel Air, Yotel, and Yotel Pad. So I think I'm the only operating platform partner here. And the reason we're here is that we automate our business through technology.
Thanks, Nick. I'm Mathews. I work for Ideas. Ideas is a hotel enterprise software solution. We are completely tech provider. We don't manage hotels. We leave that to the guys who know best to do it. So completely tech company. Thanks.
Sure. Hi, I'm Sanjay Mohan. I head the technology at MakeMyTrip group, CTO over there, so handle all things tech.
My name is Ravish, Swarup. I'm a behavior scientist. I'm a hotelier. Studied everything about behavior and started interpreting as to how I could use it for technology. That's the reason why I'm here. So many years with Oberoi Hotels and now 12 years on my own. OneFineRate.com is going to be India's first hotel marketplace, and Praxis services for reservations and revenue management is what I head.
And I'm Joy. I work for Amadeus, looking after Amadeus' hospitality business. And the other thing that I was told is I'm a sales guy, and I've been categorically told that do not sell from this platform. But the truth is that all of us have come either to sell or to buy something. So if I can't sell, I would much rather want my panelists to sell. So I would love if any one of you go first and give a 1-minute elevator pitch of why are you so unique? Why should people look at you?
I can do that. Thanks for that, Joy. Well, anybody who would want to be in leverage serious technology in the hotel space should look at us, because that's what we had been doing for the last 35 years. And what we do at Ideas is give the power of choice to our hoteliers. We keep the technology out of the complex technology. We provide what the hotels need, whether it is on-premise, cloud, or mobile. We give all of that and the complete platform to run your operations. Thank you.
So what I'm trying to also, or will elaborate, is on the fact that my first role as a hotelier was that we as hoteliers were intelligent only to the extent of knowing the market, to the extent of those who stayed at our hotels. At any given time, we wanted any dispensing of information, we would go to the property management system or his ideas and pull that extract out. But the fact is that there is so much more that is lying outside. How does we as owners, hoteliers, get to know of the market that remains hitherto completely untapped? That's where we service.
All right, so I assume some of you would know what MakeMyTrip does. So we sit between, we are one of the leading travel aggregators. We sit between the supply and the demand, trying to be of value on both the sides. So most of you are from the hotel industry, so you must be interacting with some of us already. We are trying to bring more and more value to you all the time. So that's who we are, that's what we do.
So I'll keep it short. We've got a couple of headwinds that have happened through the pandemic. Technology's accelerated quite a bit of our business, so in many businesses, including ours. Labor's become really tough, so technology is a way to automate that. And more importantly, the consumers just become so much smarter, right? So how do you introduce a seamless experience and a journey where the consumer's thinking that they're in complete control. So we think that we have a solution that helps to do that.
So I would like to go to Sanjay, because I think you are extremely consumer-focused business, and in the hotel industry, the guest is at the heart, right? So what are the kind of concerns you see at the top of your mind, you are seeing from your consumers, both in leisure as well as business?
Yeah, so I can address both the segments separately. The concerns and the needs on both sides. I mean, if you look at leisure, a lot of travel preferences have changed in the last 3 years. So there's a good mix of people choosing homestays as well as hotels. And therefore, particular about the experiential part on the leisure side, what's available in the hotel, around the hotel, what more can they do, activities and all. So that is one of the things that we are seeing on the leisure side. So let me cover the business and then I'll come to the common aspects. On the business side, again, there's a lot of request for flexibility in the bookings. Last minute cancellations are there for the businesses. It happens all the time. Meals, what is there in the hyper location, all of those concerns are there and that have to be addressed. It has to be more discoverable as and while you book the hotel or the homestay or whatever. So that has been there. On both sides, obviously, there is an expectation of getting personalized services also, that you walk in to any hotel, any accommodation, and people should know your preferences. I mean, that's a delight thing that people expect now. So these are some of the things that we've seen on both the sides.
Ravish, you want to take the same question?
Yeah, I think one of the concerns, and if that was the question that I understood, for the leisure and business travelers, I think, the hotels dropped the ball on some of those things, and that was rightfully accepted by the consumer at large because they understood that, we were going through problem. Certain services had to be discounted. The prices and the rates have come back. The customer is straight saying that, listen, if the pricing is back, when are my services back? So I think, we as hotels and those who are operators need to be relooking at that. So if pricing is not being compromised, I don't think so the level of service that what it was. It's talking about the labor, the skilled workforce, which is another thing, but just the fact that, the intent of bringing those services back should be there.
So, I would like to ask something and starting with you, Nick. The industry is changing very fast, and especially so since the pandemic. So in the last 3 years, what from Yotel you see is the biggest change in the industry? And I know that you do customer segmentation differently, Gen Z and all of that stuff. So I would be very keen to know, how do you see the shifts or changes in the trends in the last 3 years? And maybe I'd like to hear that from all of you.
Yeah, thanks, Joy. Maybe borrow from the last question, the kind of where segmentation's gone from corporate and leisure, the blend of that to bleisure. That has been probably one of the most dramatic changes that we've seen, and the pandemic's just kind of, solidified that a lot more. So I guess as an industry, what we've been used to is looking at, these segments as very finite, and actually they're pretty, they're quite fluid. And that helps with the average length of stay, and the average length of stay then is connected to a lot of what is it that they're looking for in experience. So what's that's meant is that our programming, both from an operating side and also from a design side, has had to be rethought, right? And a lot of it is also around, how much manpower are you really going to have, right? So technology comes into that and helps out on even robotics, right? To do guest services. So there's a lot of fundamental changes that have happened through tech that is redefining the way that the consumer and customer journey is happening. And I think each one of us are realizing that I'm pretty busy working through that. And that's a very fundamental change because for all of us here, it's a mindset, right? So yeah, while segmentation, all that change, we're trying to please the consumer, we're also organizationally having to readapt to that change. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So the segmentation, leisure, staycations, workations, and all of those have blended. Extended stays in business hotels is a norm now. So people would want to come for business and extend and have experiences, leisure, and so on and so forth. But one other change which has happened from the pandemic is what started as what is called as a contactless solution has become mainstream, and it's become the digital journey of the guest now, which is what is more important. I mean, there was the necessity of contactless check-in and check-out, QR codes everywhere. But that is now formed as the digital journey of the guest. 50% reduction in feedback by a guest if he's going to wait for 5 minutes for checking in. And that is what is now eliminated using a lot of those digital platforms, whether it's in check-in or ordering from the room or checking out at the convenience of a mobile. So the utilization of mobile by the guest, the extension of the technology to the guest, your own platform, your own hotel platforms extended to the guest, that's a big shift which is something which we have seen too.
So I'll keep it more generic. Yeah, definitely hotels is an important part of the travel segment, but let me keep it a bit more generic across all travel of transport, accommodation and experiences. One of the things that we've seen over the last 3 years and probably for the good of the entire ecosystem, frankly, is that there's been a lot more automation. If you look at self-serve, post-sale self-serve, I think the entire ecosystem has become a lot more robust. I mean, during the COVID, obviously, airlines and airports didn't want queuing up at the airports because there were social distancing requirements. And therefore, the check-ins, seat selection, meal selection, all of that was automated. It happened throughout the ecosystem of the airline segment, right? So all the boats actually rose, not just one. So that was a good thing that happened as a result of the COVID, that because of this contactless thing that we talked about, I think everyone moved forward and they automated everything that they could. And it's almost self-serve everywhere, through and through. So that is helping, reduce anxiety. So that was on the airline side. Hotels also, I think, a little bit more could have been done or more should be done going forward, but we can come to that later. On the ground transportation, again, same stuff. If you look at it, all kinds of automation, post-sales, refund, cancellation, date change, all of that was automated fully. Even on the bank side, when you cancel your ticket or cancel your room bookings and you're expecting a refund, all the banks also started providing much better APIs and support that you could track exactly where your refund is stuck. So that helps reduce anxiety to a great extent because the entire ecosystem has become more automated and more tech-centric also in that way, which is good for everyone. I think the entire ecosystem has become a lot more robust now, reducing anxiety for the customer. So that is on the post-sale side. We can come to the shopping side again separately, but let me pause here and
I think the last 3 years, which is obviously COVID is included, what has happened is that, interestingly, how technology, where hoteliers generally used to, stay at an arm's distance with sophisticated, intelligent technology, I think are opening doors for those who are coming out with different kind of solutions. So that's really heartening. That's encouraging. How has it changed to the landscape of our hotels and the business? Television, live streaming. What you have in your destination, what you have in your hotels doesn't need to be contained. It's right there out through social media. I think those who are taking advantage of it, so just the fact is that people are adventurous, the people are going and discovering destinations, is all happening because you are letting that knowledge getting shared with an ease. Having said that, what we will have to obviously keep creating as a difference is the fact is that, promise and what is it that you can deliver. Contactless is passé, so there are things that have to be really seen. We could have, God forbid, COVID striking. There are learnings that have happened. So what is it that we can go back to? So those are the things I think, all that we've learned in the last 3 years, how is it that we're going to be using that as a foresight ahead?
Great. I would go back to the session prior to lunch, and there are a couple of things that stood out. I heard that this business is P2P. I'm sure you heard that, right? And then most people said that labor shortage is reality, not only in India, but globally. And then there was a question to Tony Capuano, can AI replace human beings in the lobby? I'm sure you heard that. So I would want to know each of your perspectives that how should hotels adopt technology in this evolution that's happening without losing the face-to-face experience or personalization, all of that stuff. So hoteliers' perspective, OTA's perspective, tech providers' perspective, One Fine Rates perspective, whoever wants to go first.
Okay, let me try a shot on that. Labor shortage is a reality. 500,000 folks are the gap which we have now, 500,000 in the world. 80% of that is front office people. How are we going to replace that? It is not going to be replaced. Let us just accept the fact. People have moved out to other domains, other service industries, for whatever reasons. Are we going to get that experienced front office folks, guest relations people? It's going to be a huge challenge. But if we are able to simplify P2P, that is people to people, nothing else, people to people in simple services, then technology can help a lot in filling that gap. I don't think AI and robots is going to rule the front desk and remove off the front desk. I mean, it's going to be really stupid checking into a hotel like that. So I don't ever think that kind of automation is what is welcome there. But a lot can be done behind the scene to help the front desk person recognize that there is a returning guest, recognize that this person has certain preferences when he stayed last time. How can we recreate a menu with dietary preferences for the person for room service? There's a lot more which can be done, which otherwise can fill a lot of those labor shortages. That's what I feel. I mean, I will just allow the hoteliers.
Not Alexa or Siri taking room service orders.
Sorry?
Not Alexa or Siri taking room service orders.
Well, we've had a lot of challenges on that with pronunciation.
Yeah.
So we're not reached voice control.
I think, just extending to your thought, I think, this eternal optimist at that, I don't think so that's going to go anywhere. P2P is going to sustain for this business. That's going to be the primary need of any one of us visiting hotels. I think technology is only going to come in to complement some of the stuff. You could have a difficulty in finding a sommelier for a restaurant, for fine dining. But could you just add to someone who's not an A or an A plus is a sommelier, but a B plus who understands wine generally? And the fact is that he has an iPad to complement him. And every time that anything, a variety of a meat is ordered, and the moment he or she punches that in, there are suggest cells that are happening on the wine that will go along with that meat. So, and that could make it an extremely informed discussion in terms of, what would happen between someone who goes out dining. So I think, technology complementing experiences. Experience is a big ask. We have owners coming and saying, listen, while you do room reservations really well, but the fact is, listen, our whole ask is, how do you build experiences? We've seen post-COVID, the entire thing is experiential. So not only is a person going there, they spend 7, 8, 10 days in a hotel, which the average length of stay has increased. What does the person do? So the experiences really, really have to add to it. And I cannot imagine as to what is it that the technology will be delivering in terms of experiences.
Okay, so let me give you the technology angle then. And a rather contrarian view as well. See, while labor shortage is a reality, and it's just as much a reality as COVID was, but see what happened during COVID. The entire ecosystem, as I just explained, the entire ecosystem has gotten better from an automation perspective. That was a challenge that was turned into an opportunity. Likewise for labor shortage also, I mean, it's a challenge. Automation is probably the holy grail over there, and that I think we should see labor shortage as more as an opportunity for automation than as a challenge, because if that's the reality, there's no point cribbing over it. It's much better to tackle it head on and then fix a few issues here and there. So that was one part. Now let's come to personalization. While we call it personalization, and a rather contrarian view to what both of you said, putting a person on the other side doesn't actually help personalization, because then a customer obviously comes first. So let the customer be where the customer is. But on the other side, personalization can be much better done through a machine or a system, because you don't want to be dependent on just one person, the bellboy or the chef or the hotel manager, knowing a customer, because the moment that person is gone, he takes the entire knowledge of the customer away with him or her. So that is bad actually, because that person on the other side actually is making personalization much more difficult for the hotel industry in general, because you need continuity of operations, right? You don't want that customer to come there tomorrow and not find anyone who knows him or her and then go to some other hotel, because I'm not getting the same quality of service and people don't know me here. I mean, it has happened with me as well. And I'm sure it has happened with all of you. I mean, banking used to be a very personalized service 25 years ago, and we would be happy walking into a bank and chatting with people, and they would be there for 5, 6, 10 years. It doesn't happen anymore. I mean, all of us, most of us have stopped going to the banks also, because it's all automated. Personalization is more about, it's more facilitated by online capabilities than by offline. That is my belief. And I think technology can help a lot. I'll come to the chatbot part later, and whether AI can replace. I have a contrarian view there also. Being from technology, I have a very contrarian view. I think, yes, there are certain things that will be and should be replaced. I mean, if you look at DigiYatra, for instance, I mean, how many of you use DigiYatra? Where is that? Where are those people who check your ID and everything? They are not there. And are you happy with it? Of course you are, because no one is taking your phone. You don't want to have to wipe your phone when you get it back. No one is asking you for your Aadhaar card. I mean, there's so much safety concern, of hygiene concern also, that who is this person taking my phone? And then, I mean, all of that has gone away. I think it's much faster to get inside the airport now. So wherever it's technology, AI, whatever you call it, Siri, Google, whatever you call it, I mean, it's all there to help. You just have to know how to leverage it well.
You know, the cost of a sales pitch, and at Amadeus, we are actually building that stuff, DigiYatra, biometric stuff, and we will soon bring it to hotels. No longer long check-ins and credit card and Aadhaar card and all that. Sorry, Nick, please go ahead.
So, I don't know, carrying on from that, I don't know whether it's a contrarian view, but it's just practical, pragmatic. If there's the customer journey, in the minute you arrive and go through the check-in process and everything through that experience up to your room, and then while you're in the property, etc. If that customer journey experience is mapped, and if you look at the amount of time that technology saves and the amount of personalization that does without anybody is amazing, right? Because what it gives you, I mean, it can, and this is where technology is almost democratic, right? It's commoditized to, you know, the economy, mid-scale, luxury, right? Across all segments, across all travelers, right? So that personalization really comes back to how much time, how much of that experience, how much of that engagement are you having with that consumer, and how much of that customer journey are you maybe adapting and redefining through the use of technology? And I think what you guys probably doing at Amadeus now is kind of, you know, scratch more of that surface, right, of where we're going.
So, just want to add on that, Sanjay, it was not a contrary view. What I was saying was that we already have more than 500 properties in India using the contactless check-in, check-out. But the people who are in the front, who is the reception, the front desk, that person is not going to go away. But the person is now more empowered with a mobile tab to do, you know, assist and all of those. So I just want to clarify that.
And to that point, it's actually, you need both. and you need both, and there's certain elements of that, privacy maybe, that you don't want everybody to know about, right? So that's where you can kind of break that up into where's the personalization where it doesn't start to invade privacy, right? Yeah.
Yeah, just to bolster what both of you just said. So I think we are all heading in the same direction then. So on the democratization of data that you talked about, and what happens if the person goes away? I mean, if you use technology as a backbone for personalization, your entire hotel staff actually, it's not just one or two people who know the customer, all of them know the customer, they can all personalize from the beginning till the end, from the automated check-in to check-out to your food preferences, wine preferences. So it enables the entire hotel to render personalized services if you manage it through technology. So I think that is how it complements.
Ravish, you want to add something? No. Okay. Last question, and after that we'll take some audience question. I'll start from a personal experience. And many years back, I was running sales and marketing at the Leela Palace in Bangalore. And those days, getting a hotel room was like lottery. Hemant's there, he was there at the same time. And one fine afternoon, there was somebody who came and said, somebody from MakeMyTrip wants to meet. I said, who is MakeMyTrip? They said, they're a portal. I said, I don't have time for portal. So clearly I wasn't ready for what was going to come, and you guys are building technologies for tomorrow, and you are looking at consumers for tomorrow. Same with you, Ravish. So what are the trends that the industry should be prepared for, so that when MakeMyTrip comes, I leave everything and go and meet MakeMyTrip? I don't make that mistake. So what are those preparation things?
This has been a long debate and a discussion, OTA, hotels. I think, for hotels, there has been just so many learnings from an OTA. I think, essentially, and also I've heard Deep talk about it, that how it is essentially a technology company, and therefore how they have customized, that domain expertise to what we really have to, while we have to see them as the gurus around, okay, so there is absolutely no competing with those who are technology stalwarts here. What is going to be worrisome for us, and what is going to be worrisome for, we heard one CEO, we're going to hear another CEO later in the evening. When coming into India or to any other geography, there used to be two compelling situations that a brand would come in. You would look at distribution prowess, and the other would be the loyalty programs, okay. Now today, when you look at a loyalty program and you look at an OTA, so I, as a consumer who may earn in air and may burn in hotels, okay. I may earn in vacation rentals and burn in hotels, okay. Is there any comparison that a hotel company or any loyalty program can do? So it's not even a battle worth considering, okay. How is it that the industry has to really think about as to how is it that you are going to constantly think about complementing? I mean, just immediately after COVID, there is substantial amount of the segments that hotels used to pride in to be theirs is a source of productivity through OTAs. I mean, that's really consumers looking at. Fintech, for example, okay? How is it that the hotels are going to look at fintech? How is it that we are going to be looking at e-commerce? Our consumer is the same, who's using Zomato, who's using Uber. Are you e-commerce equipped, savvy in terms of looking at that? And if you're not enabling that, you're seriously missing the point. So those are the things that one has to really look at.
Sanjay, should we be preparing for ChatGPT 4 within Metaverse?
I was about to ask you.
We haven't spoken all that.
You actually said several years ago, MakeMyTrip came to meet you, and you were wondering whether to meet them. If MakeMyTrip were to come knocking at your door today, would you meet them or not?
Of course.
Yes.
So preferably in Metaverse.
Half of my concern is addressed. Yes. So now projecting years out into the future, I think we don't see too far out into the future, because the pace of technology, I think we should not even talk about years. I think it's
hours, right?
Months actually, and months and quarters actually, which is making the difference. And you mentioned ChatGPT as well. So just look at what has happened in ChatGPT. I mean, it's being banned to the extent people are so scared they're banning it in places left, right, and center. Machines are becoming more intelligent, not because these models have not been around. I mean, the technology, the individual component technologies, they've been around for a long time, but everything has come together now. I mean, the GPUs, the cloud infrastructure, the ability to run a large language model on a huge corpus of data. That did not exist 4 years ago, which is there now. So that is what language capabilities, for instance, and someone touched upon that Siri and all also, Alexa and Siri. And I think language capabilities and speech to text, that has also become much better. So that will become a reality. I think it's pointless fighting it also. The language models are becoming stronger. I think that will become a reality. We have to leverage that. Interaction models, I mean, it's only on the mobile phones or on the desktop, it's point and click, you look, point and click. I think on the interaction models also, what I see going out, it will be a hybrid and a mixed mode interaction model, because you will be speaking and then interacting with your phone as you're tapping on glass or clicking on the mouse. So that is going to happen. I mean, that's the reality of the future. I mean, no point fighting it.
And it will translate at the same time to vernacular, especially in a country like ours, right? You have already
It's
gone to
the
Hindi.
technology is there already. It's there now, yeah.
Just adding on that, definitely voice interface, artificial intelligence to a large extent, whether it is ChatGPT from a external perspective, but AI from internal, inside the hotel operations. Huge opportunity, and that's going to come, and it's not going to stop anywhere. Multiple levels of interfaces are going to come in. Now, the base which is required for all of those, like Swarup touched on that, is data. Now, if anybody is looking at data now and preparing that data, that is what you can leverage on. And data means that data of the same consumer who is buying the Zomato, going to MakeMyTrip, staying in the hotel, and the same person, that one guest profile across multiple e-commerce touch points is what's important. Nothing else, no other technology can be leveraged if you don't have the data. So very important to be prepared for technology now is to make sure data is a priority.
And just following on from that is really the integration, right? What we're going to see is that virtual integration in how the consumer is going to see that reality. And it's going to be social, it's already happening. But essentially, you could go into a room, you could personalize your room, right, to a certain extent. And all that virtual experiences is what's going to build the product and the brand, right, of what that experience is about. So the data is extremely important to build those algorithms around it, and it's already being done, yeah.
Just to add to what some of you have said already, see this whole, you touched upon it, I think, about an OTA having all the data across hotel chains and across airlines. I think that's very important to keep in mind, because one of the things that an OTA brings value, obviously, that is one of the parts that the understanding of the user preferences, that is very strong on an OTA, because it's a neutral platform and you are transacting on several airlines, several hotels, several hotel chains, accommodations, ground transportation. So all of those preferences are actually for the user, that is being captured in one place for sure. The other part is, again, what is happening in the larger industry around data privacy, that this is my data and therefore I should be able to carry that. There will be, countries have legislation, continents have legislation around it. India is also working on one. So I think once you come to that model, it will be easy for a person, for an individual, to carry their own preferences with them and then give permission to other people. I mean, I can just give my permission from one hotel chain to another. It can be permissioned access to my preferences. Right. And that will make the experience much more meaningful and much more personalized. So that's not too far out in the future, I would say.
Great. We'll take one or two questions. Please keep it short. A question rather than a comment, please.
Embracing technology for the future is a mindset, and if we don't have the mindset for embracing the technology that we have, we're not going to embrace future technology that's around the corner. The vast majority of hotels in the country today are not featured on the OTA and meta search engine that has the largest reach and the deepest pockets. With respect to Sanjay, it's not MakeMyTrip, Bibo. It's not one of the big boys. It's Google Hotel Finder. All you need for your hotel, even today, is just have an API between application program interface, an interface between your hotel's channel manager and Google.
So what's the question?
The question is, please embrace the technology that's available today. Rather than spending time, do we have the mindset to embrace for the future? Google Hotel Finder is both an OTA and a meta search engine. Google takes 10% if that's what you allow them to feature on the sponsored section, but it's a free listing and people can buy your hotel room as long as you have the interface.
So you're making my sales pitch. That's what we sell.
My second point was I was talking to the founder of one of India's most popular channel managers that has over 4,000 hotels, but only 70% of his customers in the country have an interface between the property management system and the channel manager. It's a crime against humanity if you have a human being who's looking at your channel manager and seeing all the bookings coming in and manually having to enter it into property management system. A simple two-way interface will solve that problem for you and solve your labor problems at the same time.
Thank you for selling that for me.
I'm constrained, otherwise I would have responded, but I can't make any sales pitch. Any other question? Aditya, please. Yeah, please. Question only.
So the question is that, where is technology going with respect to hospitality industry? Are the big brands, the big daddies of this hospitality world, are they going to open their platform for new tech players to come and plug into their brands so that technology can be innovated and experimented at the large level? Without that, it is becoming very difficult for new tech players to come and experiment their technology because only the big brands have the money to pay for it. The mid-market is yet to, mature to pay for AI-driven technology as such.
We have built the platform for...
So I hope that was a question and not a
Yeah. Two companies. One is IHG, which is already delivered, and now we are in the process of delivering for Marriott. But it's not about me today, and I would let the panelists answer whether the big hotel brands will open their platforms or not. Maybe Sanjay is dealing with many of them, and he has a better
I'll give a quick analogy, right? The mobile technology is working so fast because there is Play Store. You can go and just plug in your technology for the whole world, right? But I don't see that happening.
So they will answer. I mean, Binu is handling Wyndham. He has better perspectives.
So anything I answer, Aditya, for you is not for your strategy, okay? Sorry. Okay, so I think brands are open. Brands are definitely open to look at newer technology. The only thing about brands, larger brands, is that they want to make sure that the folks who are bringing in new technology, new products and solutions are going to be there for a longer time. So that is what the real brands look for. They want to make sure that there is a trusted partner for a long time. They're very, very open to experiment on technology. Let me tell you, suck your energy completely by experimenting on different things, what you want. I can tell you that.
You are a brand, sorry, I'll come back. You are a brand, so please give your
so
perspective, whether you open everything and say, here, take it.
Yeah, no, actually, go back to that point that was made earlier by Ravish, is really around what the OTAs are doing, the GDSs, and where they kind of own that customer so much. They've got a larger distribution, larger platform, and a far greater reach than the brands have. And so arguably, they've been in the business shorter than we have, right? As brands, but they actually have a lot more of a reach to those consumers. And as a result of that, I would answer your question the other way, is that, by brands opening it up, are you getting to more consumers? I would say you're probably getting to more consumers if you go down the GDS or the OTA route, because they've got a far, far greater reach to consumers than the individual brands have.
Hi, just just one question. Hi, this is Mohan. Like what we have seen these days, what's happening is if you're booking a flight or a ticket, anything in retail, we get an option of ancillaries. It's very easy. I can select a ticket, and then if I want a meal, I can add that. I can book a seat. I think this is still missing in the hospitality industry right now, where, if I have to book a room today, it's, I have to go, whether it's an OTA, I have to go like down 10 options, right? And it's very difficult to find a room which is probably, with breakfast, and I just want a double bed. So how do you think, what probably, is happening in terms of either from the hotel side or from OTS side, where it becomes easier and I can just select ancillaries and based on what my preference is. So is some feedback or anything? Yeah.
I can take that. Actually, we have that in the tech provided already now, which is nothing but attribute-based
I was about
pricing.
to say, yeah.
So it's already there in the tech. Now it's all about adoption, which is there at the hotels. How do you configure the attribute pricing? It's there. The tech is ready for that, and it's been there from some time.
We have delivered that to IHG. If you go to IHG, you can book a room facing the pool on the 6th floor. All of that is there. I mean, what you are saying is basic. So that has already been done, and it will continue to come.
I think the question was more around connecting all the dots in the trip, right? That was the question, that you book a flight, but you also need a hotel, you also need a cab, you also need some activities, you need the meals, right? So just connecting the dots all around, which we call a connected trip. I mean, we have started experimenting with that. At least I can talk about my product. We've started experimenting with that we are helping you connect all the dots in your trip, not only the travel related, but also affordability, Forex, visa, all of that. I mean, the entire ecosystem, I mean, each and every piece that could be related to travel, we are trying to connect all the dots and give you a connected trip experience.
No, and Amadeus,
So it's happening. It's happening already. Yeah.
We have already done it.
I think also just to add to that from what is purely transactional, which is what you're referring to from an airline standpoint, I think hotels, and Joy answered that, there are a lot of things, but just in terms of a hotel, where enhanced skills, expertise in wanting plus information, which really is, just the human factor can come in. We manage voice services for a number of brands, and the fact is that while I've always thought and prepared myself mentally that, voice answering services may itself diminish, but COVID came back to say, listen, hygiene protocols could just be well understood by someone who was an informed, information giver. So I think those are the things that will continue to be there because, so as I said, technology is going to complement. And
if there are no other questions, there is, please. Really the last question.
It's going to be a reinforcement of the ancillaries, which
Okay.
I think is the number one challenge our industry is facing, that the hotel operational mindset really doesn't understand it. We should look to other industries, and some of you were in the room yesterday with JB Singh. Gave a big overview of taking what the airlines do with ancillaries and applying that to the hotel business. The airline industry is looking at about 18% per year increase year on year of ancillary sales. So I think the hotel industry should look to the airline industry or cruise industry, other businesses. It's really a mindset thing. It's already there. The technology is already there. But from an owner's perspective, if you can generate another 20-25% of revenue, it's massive because it'll just drop through to the bottom line. So I think your comment was right on.
We run all the airline tech, and we are bringing that tech to hotels. So you will see that sooner than later.
Right, but the larger point again, I mean, I alluded to it earlier also. Airlines as a technology partner, I mean, they've evolved a lot more. I mean, I think you'll agree with that.
yeah, of course.
Yep.
Especially you, Joy. So a lot more progress has happened there than has happened with the hospitality and the hotels industry. So,
Not to talk about revenue management.
Yeah, a lot of
etc.
gaps to be covered yet.
So just basically all of us are sending is spend more in hotel technology.
And embrace.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. You have been a lovely audience, and we really enjoyed this conversation. Thank you. Thank you.